All right, part two of the testimony. I was kind of like giving pieces, giving pieces and bits and trying to round up everything that I had experienced. I want to say like in a 10-year period, trying to get it in 10 minutes, you know. But I want to say basically to elaborate on it. Basically to elaborate on it. Bottom line is the only way to get into heaven is through Jesus Christ. Bottom line, we're in the last days, like it says in the book of Joel, where he's going to be pouring out his spirit upon everybody. And if you look, there's a lot of videos. Everybody's seeing tsunami dreams of when you put it together, put all the pieces of puzzle together. Um, it's like basically the more you seek him, the more information he gives you. And when I put the piece of the puzzle together, Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez talks about the meteor that's gonna hit Puerto Rico, 1,000-foot waves. Florida gonna be gone. Dr. Patricia Green talks about it hits on the East Coast. Brother Raymond talks about the same thing. It's like everybody that I seen numerous videos from here to ladies in Africa talking about they seen judgment coming to the United States. So Sadhu, the Indian guy, I forgot his last name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's seen the angel standing in like a real super big angel, 1 foot in the ocean and 1 foot in California, and seeing that going down. Another guy seeing that an angel have a big sword and is gonna put it down in the middle of New Madrid Fault, basically when if Israel or when Israel separates with Palestine. And I honestly, as far as my research on the Palestinian, I don't really know the origin of them or Palestine itself, or Palestinian. The only thing I can relate in the Bible seem like is the Philistines. But as far as a lot of history behind Palestine or Palestinian, I don't even know, where, if, or when that started or how that even came about. What people fail to realize is this: there's no God is the same. There's no changing God. You ain't gonna come just because the times say this and the times say like with the gay marriage or the gay this and that. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, God has his set rules, his set laws. He created everything. You're only here because he created you. This is his earth. It's funny how we got people living in poverty and all that stuff and the governments, who own these places, who said they own it on paper, really don't really own it. This is God's planet. They charging people rent and paying taxes on stuff that's not even theirs. At the end of the day, the arrogance is set in. And when you get too much things, and that's why Jesus was saying it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven, because too much things brings about pride, brings about a lot of egos, and you start thinking because you got things, money, material things, that you got all the answers. There's people who live their life on intimidation. If you look at the Crusades of Islam, it was the Muhammad was walking around here telling people, either serve or get killed. It wasn't no peaceful thing. And people got this thing twisted where they talking about, well, the Christians did this and the Christians did that. Well, these weren't no real Christians. When you look at the KKK or the Knights Templar and all this stuff, and the stuff that, because I heard a lot of people on Facebook, they'd be like, well, you into the white man's religion, this, that, and the third, and they put you in slavery. Let me tell you something. If you do wrong, it's all going to be accounted for. That's just bottom line. And at the end of the day, me personally, out of the research I've done, it seems to me like if you read the Bible, what Prophet Jeremiah said, he said, hey, if you don't do right with God, God will put somebody over you. If you, like when Israel got captured look at many times Israel got captured and enslaved, where there was Egyptians over them, whether it was the Persians, whether it was the Greeks, whether it was the Romans, whether it was the Babylonians. Every time, if you don't serve God, you don't do the right thing, he will put somebody over you who actually will be, wicked. And that's kind of what happened. You say, why are we going? Why black people going to slavery? Because we wasn't doing what we supposed to do. We went to slavery 400 years in Egypt, and we've been over here in slavery, enslaved, and over here after the slavery and segregation, all that stuff between here as well as Africa. Um, over 400 years, about 430, 400 something years. So it's round about. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm telling you, don't follow. You gotta understand. God was for Israel, Jewish, Hebrew, Shalom, Yashua. Not no people thinking the Quran is this and the Quran is just a verification of the Bible. No, it's not, because there's contradictions. It says in there about Isaac and Ishmael. In the Quran it says Ishmael went and got a wife from Mecca, or a Arabic wife. Bottom line, in the Bible says Paran. And, there's differences, and people fail to realize the chosen seed was the Jewish, the Hebrew. Now, how you think God going from the whole entire Old Testament going to be for the Jews, and all of a sudden after Jesus comes, and people want to call him a prophet? Well, all of these prophets sinned. Jesus didn't sin. That's the difference. When if you look at King David committed adultery. Look at Moses, he murdered somebody. Look at Abraham. He lied a couple times when people were wanting his wife, when those kings were wanting his wife, and he was saying that his wife was his sister, which was his sister, but out of fear, and he lied. Abraham didn't wait. He committed adultery with the handmaid by having with Hagar, by having Ishmael. So a child out of wed. It's like, and you want to say, hey, that's God changed up after 2,000 or 3,000 years, and so said now we're gonna go straight to everything's gonna move from Israel to Mecca. Everything's gonna move to Israel to Muhammad. Dude, he's not perfect. He's not perfect. Only perfect one was Jesus. Jesus, that's why he came and changed the law, because he had to come and show people how to walk, because everybody was flunking the test. The only people who seemed to have understanding of what was going on was those who did not die, which was Enoch and Elijah. Other than that, everybody who came here, they had some flaws. So how you going to put Jesus in the same bracket as a prophet when those prophets had made mistakes and those prophets had sinned? I mean, you got to start really understanding this. This Muhammad guy, you keep saying, Prophet Muhammad, peace be on, but there's no peace where he's at. The man is in hell. Now, I want you to understand that clearly. As a pastor in South Korea that's seen him, you can't get to heaven unless you got Jesus Christ. There's no way, I don't know who wrote these hadiths. I don't know who got people thinking, hey, you're going to get some 40 virgins and all this crazy stuff when you die. This is not about, the whole point of you being on this planet is to have a relationship with God. All of this material things and relationships and women and having more than one wife, you don't need that. Why you think a lot of these disciples who follow Jesus, a lot of them didn't have no wives? So all of a sudden I need somebody else to come to tell me I can have more than one wife like they were in the old time. This ain't the Old Testament. Jesus, when you look at Jesus, he went around and was wrecking the shop like a revolutionary. You got to wake up and see the big picture. When he told one of those disciples, they kept asking him a question about, what to do to see the Father. He said, how long shall I be with you? He's right here. Jesus ain't gonna come out and say, I am God, because he's really a spirit. He's not a fleshly, it's not a flesh. He's a spirit. I mean, he spoke in parables because he's trying to show people, seek him. Seek. Right now, we in the end times. So a lot of times, I've kind of like watched preachers and just listen to get some of the message, but I'm like wondering, why ain't they saying, hey, no more of this talk about money. Right now, we need to discuss, get your soul right, get right with God, and get off this money tip. Going to part 3.